Well, I mean, it's a very, very historic and happy day for all England fans, and I mean, the entire nation, to be very honest, and not to forget the two stars for England Test team over the last decade, Ben Stokes and Joe Root. I mean, uh, Joe Root finally wins a Test match in England after I think 4-5-9, 9-5, 14. Yeah, so this was 18th attempt in Australia, and finally he wins a Test match. For Ben Stokes, that number is a bit small, but yet significant, 13. So I mean, 13 and 18 attempts to win that first Test down under. They have seen it all, from the Mitchell Johnson series to the series where Ben Stokes got banned owing to off-field issues, and then the last series where they had that COVID bubble and the team was in a dire state. Joe Root having to shoulder a huge portion of the responsibility, and then this series where they were so close yet so far in all the three games, to be precise. Well, it's a very, very happy day, and personally I also felt so happy. I mean, I think those who have followed me would know I've followed England cricket through thick and thin, and really feel happy for the success of these guys. I mean, now if they end up winning in Sydney, to be very honest, they will just kick themselves for that harakiri in Perth, particularly that half an hour phase after lunch on day two when the game just turned on its head. Mm, But nonetheless, I mean, it's better late than never, as they always say. So England would feel that this one win may inspire their future generation to do better when they come to this part of the world where they haven't tested a lot of success, to be precise. On the other hand, I think this was always on the cards for an aging Australian side with all of their top players not in good shape or not always playing all the games. So this was always on the cards, and with the pitch being that kind of a green mamba as it was, I mean, it anyways just sort of reduced, I think, the difference in the skill levels of both the teams, probably on a rather flat, docile deck. Australian bowlers' experience or, sort of muscle memory to bowl on those decks over the years, having bowled in first class and all those games, would have slightly given them the edge against an English side who have all the raw attributes, but maybe not yet fine tuned, and a pretty relatively younger side with not that kind of a bowling leader. But on this kind of a green mamba, I mean, they were always up for the task. And to be honest, the way they chased down the target, you always need those cameos. And I think it was a proper chase of a small target. You always see these small targets whenever a team loses those first 2-3 wickets. Butterfly starts kicking in the stomach, and it's kind of a pain. You have seen that Lord's Test this year in July, where India were chasing some 190 odd, and they, I think, that end of day four evening, when they lost those three quick wickets, all of a sudden they were four down, and then next morning they lose Rishabh Pant, they lose KL Rahul, and they're in some sort of a pressure. Same thing happened when they chased down the target at when they were chasing down the target at Eden Gardens against South Africa, where they were 10 for 2, and then they kept on losing wickets at regular intervals, and the panic starts to set in. And what England did correctly was get that partnership Duckett, who was not in a very good frame of mind. I mean, started the onslaught, got those quick runs, and then Crawley played a mature innings, Jacob Bithell, to say the least. And I mean, it was a proper chase. But let's discuss the match in overall and the significance of this win, probably. By the way, guys who are joining in and watching on live, please feel free to put in your comments and share your feedbacks, and please share with as many guys as possible. So up to my mate Ritik for carrying on this live.
Yeah, thank you, Saptashi. And before I start, I would again emphasize the point that Saptashi made that please, those who are watching our live, please feel free to share your thoughts, share your questions, whatever you feel like regarding the this Ashes series, this Test match, or anything about cricket in general. So yeah, coming to the match, I mean, yes, definitely, this is a historical moment for England cricket and also for overall the history of Ashes in particular because after 14 years, England have finally managed to win a test match, an Ashes test match in Australia, to be precise. And yeah, I mean, considering that
Anyways, they only play
the
Ashes in
teams that
Australia.
Yeah, so yeah, the point I was making that this was anyway something that we expected maybe a few matches earlier as well, given that England always had their chances, and particularly this definitely wasn't the strongest Australian team that faced England. So there were a lot of loopholes in the Australian side, and yeah, I mean, England finally managed to, I mean, put their things together, put their resources together, and yeah, and you have the result in front of you. I mean, 14 years of wait finally coming to an end. So yeah, definitely an incredible moment for all the English fans, and hopefully they can carry this momentum forward in the last Test match as well. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think coming to this series, they always had the chance with that pace attack they had built over the years. I think, yeah, you can argue that this pace attack didn't play a lot of first class games, and you can see that from their intensity, like the fall short on intensity in the second innings. The injuries keep on recurring. I mean, Geoffrey Archer again has got injured. Now, Gus Atkinson has picked up some sort of an injury, and maybe Matt Potts might be given a chance come SCG that last game. Uh, even I think,
even Mark Wood for that
yeah,
matter.
Mark Wood, who was gonna be a very vital cog in this attack, considering his prowess
Yeah,
in this part of the world. I mean, he was probably one of the best bowlers suited for these conditions, but his injury in Perth was also kind of a setback. But I think, yeah, England had the raw attributes. I mean, I can nitpick so many reasons why they were 3-0 down, to be very honest. That 1 hour, half an hour madness at Perth on day two. Uh, then if I go to Gabba, I mean, at Gabba, even on day one, at one point, they were 212 for four. Ben Stokes gets run out. What happens? All of a sudden, the floodgates are opened. The ping ball, Scott Boland and Mitchell Stark make merry, and all of a sudden they're 263 for nine. And if not for that 50-run partnership between Joe Root and Geoffrey Archer at the end of the innings, things would have looked even more worse for England. Then with the ball, they were erratic all over the place. Even at one point when they had got Australia 319 for six, Australia trailing by some 6-7 runs. They dropped Naisat twice. They dropped Carey once. Had they taken their chances at that point of time, I mean, who knows? Mitchell Stark could have come at that point of time. They could have got him out, got Scott Boland out, and maybe the lead, which swelled to some 170 by the end of that Australian innings next day, might have been just a 60-70 run lead, and things could have been different. It's I know it's cricket doesn't run on these ifs and buts, but I mean, these are some situations you need to pick. You move to Adelaide, Harry Brook. He drops Usman Khawaja on five on day one. Usman Khawaja goes on to make 82. He drops Harry Brook on 99 on day four. No, I think day three. Yeah, Harry Brook drops Travis Head on day three. On 99, Travis Head goes on to make some 70 more runs. So, I mean, you can't win test matches when you drop so many catches, to be very honest. This match England were very good in the field, to be honest. They picked up quite a few catches, and that reflects. I mean, those catches win matches. I mean, this proverb has not been built in a day. It has some true meaning. And then, I mean, you couldn't grasp those moments whenever you were up, when they were 170 odd for three, chasing 450 at Adelaide. Harry Brook tries the reverse sweep against Nathan Land, gets bowled, and all of a sudden that mini phase at the end of day four, when they lose those three quick wickets, Harry Brook, Zach Crawley, the two set batters, and Ben Stokes. All of a sudden, the game turns on its head. They came so close, 350, despite losing six on day four only. So, had they not lost those quick wickets at the end of day four, who knows? They could have gone on to gone on to chase 400 odd. So, I mean, these are the things that they had the game at times in their grasp, but it was always. And even I remember Ben Stokes expressing his frustration in the interview post that Gabba lost in the second game. I mean, when he said that when he was particularly critical of his team's performance in the pressure games, and he was pretty vocal on that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ben Stokes' frustration is absolutely justified, given the given some of the aspects of the English team in this series. You talked about rash shots, that example of Harry Brook's shot against Nathan Lyon, then the fielding, especially if I talk about in the slip cordon area, where that was an area where Australia excelled. and they took some blinders. And yeah, I mean this match, England were definitely much better in the field, and I mean you have the result in front of you. So all these small aspects eventually add up, and they dictate the terms of any test match. So yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
definitely is something that England will look to improve and carry this momentum forward. Okay, so let me just check if we have any comments at the moment.
No, there have
At
been
the
some
moment, I
views,
don't
but
see.
no comments as of now.
Okay, okay, all right. So yeah, maybe it's already a bit, I mean, late considering the this is the winter season going on in India. So yeah. All right. So I think we can carry forward the discussion then if there are no questions.
Yeah, I mean, we have to wait for some time. Till then, we can carry on our
Yeah.
own lines and wait for some comments at least to kick in. So, I mean,
Yeah.
let me just ask you some questions since you have been pretty silent over the last 15 minutes, I think. So, like, what do you make of Josh Tongue? I would say.
Yeah. Georgetown, I mean, it was actually a bit surprising that why wasn't he played for few more matches, I would say. Because Georgetown, I mean, his performance today, and we anyway knew that. I mean, when I say I knew, I mean, it was, I mean, expected that he would be able to deliver good performances in these sort of conditions. And maybe he's a better bowler compared to someone like Gus Atkinson, for that matter, or someone else. So, I mean, yeah, he should have been given more chances, I feel. And when he was given, I mean, we all saw what he did. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, uh, so that was a point that the selectors missed, maybe, and that faulty selection may be the reason that the series is now currently at 3-1. Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy that we have got back one of our old friends here in the comments.
Yeah, hi,
It's
2 years
it's
man. I
2 years
forgot your
back.
name. If you can just put your
Yeah,
name.
actually,
Sorry, I mean I forgot your real name.
I have also
Yep.
forgotten his name. Uh,
Because I don't want to address you by the channel name. I mean that sounds weird, right? But anyway, great to have you back. I mean in the comment section.
yeah, so I mean,
And
I think Ritik will
and
know. I mean,
yeah,
I have been vouching for Josh Tongue in our group for quite some time. I mean, since the start of the Ashes, that
agreed.
they need to play him. And at least I think Perth was his wicket. I can agree that ping ball, maybe he doesn't have a lot of experience and all those things, but in that case, none of them had the experience. But I can still agree. But I think at Perth, with that kind of bounce and movement on day one, he would have been very, very useful, and they could have easily played him. Gus Atkinson, I mean, Gus Atkinson is someone who needs that movement, that little bit of nip of the
Exactly.
surface. I mean, whenever he has that grass covering, he can use that wobble sim to good effect. He is someone who comes from the school of, say, Jimmy Anderson school of bowling. I mean, he needs the little bit of movement of the surface, but he's not someone who can hit the surface hard. Someone like a Pat Cummins, someone like a, say, Scott Boland, someone like a Kagiso Rabada. He's not that kind of a surface. And
Yeah.
on surfaces where there's not a lot of grass, but you can just hit the deck hard. I mean, Gus Atkinson will not do well. This was probably Gus Atkinson's best surface, but still he couldn't pick up a lot of wickets. Josh Tung's wicket taking ability is insane, to be very honest. With that 11 o'clock release and that awkward angle, he can always pick up wickets. Well, we have got another Deptanu Mitra. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Deptanu. I mean, nice to have you here. So, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe our channel and please share it with your friends. What should be the way forward? Would
Yeah.
you stick with McCollum Stokes? Well, I mean, this is a question I think they should look after post the T20 World Cup. Why I'm saying this is because since McCullum is with the white ball team, also I don't want any sort of tensions before a marquee tournament like this. I mean, let them
Yeah.
get done
That's
with
a
the
valid point.
T20 World Cup, which gets over, I think, by the first week of March. Then they have that 3 month break, the IPL and all. The county starts in late March or April, and then
Hmm.
they have their home series starting from, I think, the middle of June, if I'm not very wrong, the New Zealand series, and then they have a Pakistan series. So they need to consider that if they replace McCullum, who do they bring in? I think if they need someone with good technical mindset. What McCullum has definitely done well, I would say, is free up these lads, give them that extra sense of confidence, maybe that kind of freedom with which they play. But maybe what they need is a level head guy, someone who can inspire some sort of technical confidence in these guys and do some radical
Yeah,
selections, if I just want to put it that way. But I think with the captaincy at this point, I would say Stokes at least till this WTC cycle. They have, I think, four more series next year and 2027. They have two home series and then they go to South Africa and Bangladesh. So I would say Ben
mm,
Stokes stays till at least this cycle, or maybe till the Ashes 2027. He can retire with after that Ashes at home. Post that, I mean, to be honest, I think Brook is going to be the leader. Anyways, he's leading the white ball sides at this point of time and have been appointed the vice captain in the test format. So I don't see anyone else apart from Brook leading the side. And I think, to be honest, who else has their place also fixed? I mean, I really don't see anyone else leading this side after apart from Brook after Ben Stokes hangs up his boots. But yeah, Ben Stokes, I would say he at
yeah. I
least
think
continues till the end of this cycle. So Devtanu has another comment.
yeah, I
More
think
than
some
batting
more
failures,
comments. Yeah,
I feel the selection blunders baffles me and really creates doubt about Baz the coach. How could you bank on Will Jacks as the only spinner? Well, that's a good point which Devtanu has raised. That was something which I should have talked about. Well, thanks Devtanu for your point. Like Will Jacks. So I mean, on a surface like Adelaide, you know that spin plays a vital role, particularly in the second innings, and that becomes highlighted even more when you see Nathan Lyon's record at Adelaide. He's picked more wickets than anyone at Adelaide
yeah,
when it comes to the red ball format. So, I mean, when you know that spin is the way to win, particularly in the second innings at Adelaide, how can you bank only on Will Jacks? See, Will Jacks, I can't blame him. He's a part-time white ball spinner. He just bowls couple of overs in white ball. He can bowl those rank long hops and still get wickets in white ball. But in test, he will be, I mean, he will be just milked around all over the ground. And he conceded runs at 5, 6 in both the innings. That was where the difference was created. Australia had someone like Nathan Lyon with 500 plus test wickets, and England had Will Jacks, who is not even a proper white ball spinner, a part-time white ball spinner. Now, why this scenario happened? This goes back to 1 year back. When the India series happened, they sidelined Jack Leach, citing the need fresh spinners. Well, that's a good
yeah,
idea. But one question I had then also was, why did they sideline Tom Hartley? Tom Hartley and Shoaib Bashir, I feel both gave more or less same results in that England versus India series, 2024 2024 February, which happened. Tom Hartley could also contribute with a bat. Why did they sideline Tom Hartley? That was my first question. They bagged Shoaib Bashir. I have no issue with that. Shoaib Bashir played all the, I think, 12 games which they played last year in New Zealand, in Pakistan, in England, everywhere. Even he was a regular in that India series this year, the first three series
mhm,
before he busted his finger at Lords. So, if you had so much belief in Shoaib Bashir, who didn't play a lot of first class games, again, he was someone who was picked again just based on, I mean, his based on some eye for talent rather than his first class stats. And I mean, that's been a regularity in this Stokes and Buzz regime. They have picked players based on that. They picked Harry Brook based like that. They picked Josh Hill like that for
yeah,
one match. If you remember, Josh Hill, he played against Sri Lanka, that tall left arm fast bowler. So why didn't you back if you backed Shoaib Bashir till then and you picked him in the Ashes squad also? Did he turn so bad in just 4 or 5 months? I mean, why all of a sudden you didn't have enough confidence to even play him on a ground like Adelaide? And if that's the case, then who is to blame? Should I blame Shoaib Bashir or should I blame the management? I mean, I would like to take your views also. Well, bloodline cricket,
yeah.
yeah, I'm
So
coming to
good
your
point.
comment.
Yeah, yeah. So hi. So good to see some. I mean, a good number of viewers joining us. Yeah, absolutely. The points Saptashi made that if you had prioritized him over Tom Hartley back then, and I mean, he did. I mean, I think a pretty decent job. So why not have a regular spinner instead of someone like a part-time spinner, someone of the like of. Sorry, the name you mentioned, I forgot. Yeah, Will Jacks.
Tom,
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, Will Jacks, Will Jacks.
No, no, yeah. And I mean, even I thought that someone like Jack Leach, I mean, who we all know, that he can also, I mean, hold the wicket at one end. We all know what he did with Stokes. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
see, I
Jack
mean,
Leach would have been a great option, I felt, this series. Yeah.
I think one issue England has is
Yes.
if you see their last 3 4 Ashes tours down under. None of their spinners had done well in England. Sorry, in Australia. If you see the 2010-11 series, there also Grimswan didn't play a big role. In 2013-14, he was smashed badly and eventually retired midway through the series. Monty Panesar played, I think, 1 or 2 games there, but didn't do much. Uh, Cut forward to the
Mm.
2017 series, they picked someone like Moeen Ali, who was again kind of an all-rounder white ball spinner, not a very great spinner when it comes to red ball cricket, and he was again carted all around the park. If you remember, I think I don't know if you guys remember, but they played that one guy, Mason Crane, in the last game at Sydney. Mason Crane was smashed for some 100 200 runs, and I mean he was so bad in that one odd match. Then cut forward to 2021. Jack Leach played that series. He was also carted all around the park and didn't have a very good series. And now Shoaib Bashir. So, I mean, is it the inability of England to produce quality spinners, particularly spinners who can do well in Australia, get that bounce, get that overspin, drift, or I mean, what? How do you see this problem?
Yeah. Okay. So I think we had one more question, right, from Bloodline Cricket. Okay. Let me just see. Poor pitch match over in 2 days. Yeah, that's a good point. So I think how many? I think 26, if I'm not wrong. No, not 26. More it would be. The number of wickets that fell over the span of 2 days. Quite a,
Yeah,
I mean, large number of wickets actually.
36, 36. Australia, 3 innings and
36. Yeah,
6.
sorry, 36.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean,
that's a
coming back to the
huge number
question, I think
actually.
you missed it. So what I was asking is, how do you see this problem of England? I mean, 4 or 5 Ashes tours, and none of the times their spinners have been successful in Australia. So, and also the Shoaib Bashir fiasco. I mean, so how do you see England going forward in the next home summer? This is done. What it was, but do they go forward with the Shoaib Bashir experiment, or do you see them scrapping this experiment for say someone else from the county or someone whoever it is?
See, this experiment thing can't, I mean, sustain you long term. The way to go long term is that you start producing spinners, you start producing good spinners who can actually deliver performances in Australia. I'm not sure if Adil Rashid played any, or I mean, series in
No, he didn't play
Australia,
in
any Ashes
Australia. He played
series.
a few in England and in
But
India, but yeah.
of all the names that have taken, I mean, Shoaib Bashir, Jack Leach, Adil Rashid, I actually felt that Adil Rashid was a good spinner. And perhaps if someone like he had played this series, who knows, he could have made a big impact. I mean, something of the likes of what Nathan Lyon has done. Yeah,
See, I
they have
mean,
give chances to
I
Hartley. Okay,
feel for Hartley. I think he was picked in the 2024 T20 World Cup squad also, and in those on those West Indian tracks with a little bit of grip and turn, he could have played a good role. He can bat also. I really don't see the reasoning to drop him, and I think under this Stokes Bass regime, I mean, there have been the tendency to back certain players. While that's definitely not a bad idea to back players and give them that sense of security, sense of, I mean, sense of belonging. It can sometimes backfire also. Another classic example is Ollie Pope. I think England have backed him to great extent. I mean, to be honest, to the extent
yeah,
of losing
uh,
important series.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I think there was one more comment we missed. Yeah, this
Yeah.
one. The obsession of playing a long batting lineup has been an issue for this team. Ultimately, it didn't work. You couldn't win that old test against India, even after having such a good batting depth. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
like I think we have discussed this in our lives before as well, that the motto to a good team, making a good team in a test match is you have a wicket keeper and the remaining 10 has to be your best five batters and your best five bowlers. That's the ideal way to make a good test squad. Yeah.
See, I think the selection of Will Jacks was a pretty defensive move, considering, I mean, if you remember in Perth, they went with 4 proper fast bowlers and 1 wicket keeper, Ben Stokes, and 5 batters. That was their mantra at Perth. When they had that batting collapse in Perth in both the innings, they thought, let's go with Will Jacks, who will give us probably a few overs of spin and uh, more importantly, extend that batting, elongate that batting order till number eight. And since Ben Stokes is bowling so well this year, they could afford that. I mean, pushing Ben Stokes in the fourth seamer slot.
Yeah.
But what that does is, I mean, Will Jacks is not someone. I mean, if you need your number eight to score, say 70, 80 runs to win you on a daily basis, your number eight should be his primary role should be bowling. If he can bat, someone like a Pat Cummins, someone like say Marco Jansen, Kagis Robert, whoever it is, that's an added
Yeah.
bonus. But your number eight shouldn't be a proper batter. If he has to score hundreds to win you games, then I mean, sack the top seven man. I mean, what are they doing? To be very honest.
Bethel should play from here. He will give you the spinning option. Okay. Yeah, I think Jacob Bethel was a really good replacement considering the, lingering failure of someone like Ollie Pope. And yeah, I think going forward, it's very unlikely that Ollie Pope would be considered as a primary member in this squad, unless, of course, something miraculous happens. Because Ollie Pope has been back way too long, as Saptashi was also mentioning. And at the moment,
Yeah,
it
and I
seems
mean,
unlikely that.
Olympics
Yeah,
consistency has been a real question. I think, yeah, guy is still young. He can go
yeah,
back to domestic, correct his ways, and come back. There's definitely a lot of time left for him. And also, I think England can maybe give him a chance down the order where he started his career. If you remember when he made that debut against India at Lords, if I'm not very wrong, in 2018, he played that South Africa series in 2019-20. At that time of his career, he was playing at 5'6". Not saying that he had a great deal of success there, but considering his technique and his tendency to throw his hands at deliveries, have a feel at deliveries, it's not something which is feasible at number three. I think number three is a very crucial position in Test cricket, and you need someone with a
yeah.
better level. I'm not saying Jacob Bethel is gonna
Number
be a.
three is as good as the opening spot. I mean, if your the openers get out quickly, which is very
Yeah,
often the
so
case. I
I mean,
mean,
number three is
yeah,
kind of a glue. I mean, between the openers and that middle order. So it's.
yeah,
If I speak of a railway engine, it's kind of that. Chain between the driver's cabin and the bogies. So it's that kind of an important position. Not saying that Jacob Bethel will be a huge success. He's still relatively young, hasn't played a lot of first class games, still hasn't. I mean, mind you, he still does not have a single first class 100. So Jacob Bethel also has his issues against the full deliveries, particularly if you remember that oval game where Siraj bowled that in swinging Yorker to get him trapped on the front foot. So he has his issues, but I think they need to try something fresh, and that's where Jacob Bethel can be given a chance. Coming to Zach Crawley and Ben
yeah,
Duckett, I think Ben Duckett, I mean, yeah, of course, there has been stories about his off-field issues. Not going into that or Nusa and all those things, but how
mhm.
do you see Ben Duckett in this series? I mean, he has been a very successful opener for England for the last 2 3 years, but this series has been a shocker. So, how do you perceive his returns?
Yeah. Ben Duckett has been a disappointment, like you mentioned, considering that a lot more was expected from him. Yeah, I mean, I agree that he's not someone like an Alistair Cook who is a very experienced batter or something like that. But I mean, considering how Zach Crawley played, I think I expected a bit more maturity from Ben Duckett. And when you know that you are down under anyway, I mean, England in Australia in Ashes, I mean, uh, till this day, I mean, they had not won a test match in the last 14 years. So you're always down under, and that makes the role of openers, as we always say, that the role of openers is very, very, I mean, it's, something of the highest, perhaps the highest importance in the batting order. And so in that spot, I mean, the kind of shots he was playing or the form that he exhibited, I think we expected a bit more. And perhaps someone like he should learn from someone like Zach Crowley. I mean, who looked pretty good to me. I mean, considering that
Yeah, I think
how Australia bowled. Yeah,
Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett are players of exactly opposite ends of the spectrum. If you see, Zach Crawley is someone who likes
yeah,
to stay on the back foot, get on top of the bounce, smash it, play on top of the bounce. On the other hand, if you see Ben Duckett's style of play, he's not someone who can leave a lot, who leaves a lot of deliveries outside of. He have the tendency to fiddle at deliveries.
Yeah.
If you see his percentage of leaving deliveries outside the off stump is very very low, and he always has the tendency to play those cut shots, those slashes through gully, behind square. Those, I mean, most are huge. A huge segment of his runs comes behind the square, and with his short stature, if you see, I mean, the way he plays behind the square, those cuts and all, I mean, there will always be that tendency to nick the ball with the extra bounce in Australia, which you don't get in England, mind you. There will always be that tendency to edge the ball, to nick it to the keeper, the slips, the gully, and he will always have a tough time. Even if he goes to South Africa, I think those tall South African pieces, the likes of Rabada, the likes of Janssen and Gidi, Cobbin Bosch, they can really give him a tough time, to be very honest. But again, I think when it comes to England, where the ball doesn't bounce that much, there's only the lateral movement. And also, I mean, in subcontinental conditions, everyone knows his prowess against spin. He can play those sweeps and reverse sweeps 360-degree across the ground. So he will be a very valuable asset when they come here. On the other hand, someone like a Zach Crawley, he may have his issues, particularly in England, but in conditions where there is bounce, where there's tall bowlers bowling, he will love it, and that's what we saw here also. So and that's the reason why I back these two as an opener, despite Zach Crawley having his stats. I mean, not having some good stats, because they complement each other. They have their own strengths and weaknesses, but they are complementary.
Yeah, even today, I mean, if I talk about today's innings, Zach Crowley looked, I mean, he was playing so maturely, I mean, until he got out. And it was actually a shocker because ideally he would have liked to stay till the very end. And yeah, England were fumbling a bit. I mean, the butterflies were starting to get in the stomachs, and as they were approaching the target, I mean, they were playing some loose shots. We saw Root getting out. Ben Stokes, I just didn't get the logic behind that shot when stepping
Yeah,
out.
so
So yeah,
I mean,
all sorts of things
Mitchell Stark
happened.
just got Ben Stokes for another time. It's just his regular routine these
Yeah,
days. I think because the 13th or 14th time he got him in Test cricket, to be precise.
yeah, that's Broad versus Warner for you, something of that sort.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean Ben Stokes. By the time I mean Ben Stokes will play another match at Sydney. Stark will play that game. Then they play another
yeah,
that MCG game, 150 years of celebration of Test cricket in 2027. And if 2027 Ashes, I mean, if Stark plays the 2027 Ashes at England and Ben Stokes also plays that, there's a very good chance that he might eclipse that record of Broad versus Warner.
yeah. So that is that sort of an equation.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we have a lot of discussion on England. So if I just want to know your views on Australia, o- this series and this match, particularly their batting becoming a bit fragile these days. Steve Smith's lean returns, Marnus Labuschagne's form, Usman Khawaja's
The absence of
the Usman
Travis
Khawaja
Head.
conundrum,
Yeah.
and I mean every time they're looking up to their Messiah Travis Head. So your overall feedback for Australia.
Yeah, I mean, the points you mentioned, that Travis Head's, I mean, not playing this test match has absolutely exposed the Australia batting lineup, and that showed that how much dependent that they are on their Messiah, as you had said, Travis Head. And I mean, you just can't be so reliant on someone like Travis Head because ultimately, you see, Travis Head is currently in form, and he's that sort of a batter who can make or break the game. I mean, when he goes, he's like absolutely on top of the opposition. And we saw that since he was not there, and with the top order getting out cheaply, and that just, I mean, that gave England the important breakthrough that they were looking for so urgently in the series. And yeah, I mean, not to say that they were superb in the first innings as well. They were also pretty poor. But yeah, I mean, this definitely, I mean, uh, brings into light a lot of the loopholes that are currently existing in the Australian batting order. Yeah,
Well, I think Australia has had their issues. Even if you see the last BGT, it was mostly Travis Head and those centuries from Steve Smith, which
yeah,
has and mind you, Steve Smith, who probably boasted of a Bradmanesque record at one time in the Ashes. I mean, I was seeing one stats
yeah,
that last couple of Ashes, Mitchell Stark is averaging better than Steve Smith. So he's having some tough time in the Ashes. This Ashes also Apart from that 70 odd at Gaba, I think he hasn't crossed 50 once. So Steve Smith is nearing the end of his career. Marnus Labushkin, I mean, everyone knows how his career has fallen off after that initial spike. Usman
Yeah, he was
Khwaja, I
also
mean,
looking very pale. He was looking very pale. I mean,
yeah,
in the
Usman
series.
Khwaja, I mean, age has really caught up with him. Jake Weatherall is still new to the
Yeah,
business. Uh, and then, I mean, Cameron Green, someone whom they look up to as the generational talent. So,
yeah,
Cameron Green also not giving enough returns. I really didn't understand why they dropped someone like Bew Webster, who did very well in that Sydney test this year against India. Even in the WTC, got a 60 or in the first innings, got wickets in that West Indies series. So I really don't know their obsession with Cameron Green and dropping the likes of Bew Webster. So Australia also have some tough questions to answer. And even if you look at their bowling attack, I mean, that big four, I mean, Hazelwood remains injured more often than not these
mm,
days. Pat Cummins right now is struggling with an injury this year. He missed the Champions Trophy, missed the Ashes. He didn't play a lot of ODI cricket, so he's also struggling with some injury. Nathan Land, this is his second, I mean, a big injury in some 3 years. Mitchell Stark is sort of a machine, still bowling well at this age. So I mean, that bowling attack was also nursing some injuries. Age is slowly catching up with them. And if you see the replacements, also Michael Neeser, mind you, he's not any youngster. He's also some 30 odd years old. Jai
yeah.
Richardson,
Even Scott
uh,
Boland.
yeah, even Scott Boland is 35 or something. Jai Richardson is also
Yeah,
not a kid. Yeah, I know they have got the likes of Callum Vidler, Charlie Anderson coming up from the under 19 ranks, and maybe, but I can really sense a big transition phase in Australia also. And mind you, next year New Zealand are coming there, so they've also got a good pace contingent. If the wickets are anything similar to what we witnessed this Australian summer, the likes of Matt Henry, the Wobble Sim King, someone like Jacob Duffy, Welleroot, Ben Sears, Michael Ray.
yeah,
Uh, I think there's Zachary Folks. These guys can make merry with the likes of the Tom Latham, David Conway, Dale Mitchell, the New Zealand batting lineup, and we can again get a good series. New Zealand might have a good chance of winning yet another big series away from home. Yeah, it will be tough with Australia's experience and all those things coming into play, but you can't rule out anyone winning in Australia at this point of time. Next 4 5 years, Australia, I really feel they also might face some difficulty in their series. To be very honest, till this WTC cycle, I really don't see them facing that much of a challenge. But come the next WTC cycle, they might face some serious challenges. To be very honest, well, I think I missed out one comment then of 2 years ban. Sir Jacob Bittel 1 or 0.
yeah.
Yes, I was going through X and I saw a comment that Jacob Bethel is probably one of the rarest English cricketers who now has 100% win record in Ashes down under.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a good record to be a part of.
Joe Root and Ben Stokes took 18, 13 matches to register their first win. This 21-year-old kid got a win in his first match, and he's probably saying, "You guys took 4 tours to win a match in Australia? What the hell?"
Jacob Bessel seems to be the lucky charm in that case for England.
Yeah, probably. I
But
mean,
anyway, jokes apart, I think he will be now the preferred option instead of Ollie Pope moving
yeah, I
forward.
think Jacob Bethel should get a long run now. At least the next English summer, I want
Mm,
to see him. And then by the time they tour South Africa by the end of next year, and then Bangladesh, let's take a call on who is their number three. Also, there's some interesting names in the county setup. I'm not sure if they will get a chance straight away. The likes of McKinney, the likes of the View brothers, uh, and then Sam Cook can be a good option with the Dukes in English conditions. Well, I mean, one last question I would probably like to ask before closing this live, which has been a pretty beneficial live, I would say, a very good time spent
yeah,
with all of
definitely.
your friends. So, one question I would like to ask, and I would like to get a good explanation from Ritik. So, how do you see, I mean, some Harry Brook? So, on this pitch, I mean, he scored that vital 40 odd in the first innings. Well, at times, his shot selection or his style of play has been criticized hugely, citing lack of game awareness. But in such conditions, we have seen I shared a clip today with you where he scored that 180 odd in Basin Reserve. People struggling to feel the ball
Mm,
on day one, Basin Reserve, 21 for 3. This guy comes in and
my
smashes
goodness.
180 at ODI strike rate.
Yeah, the point you mentioned that Harry Brooks' innings in this run chase was definitely of utmost importance, and the way he played, particularly considering some of the other shots that he played previously, that reverse sweep in particular against Nathan Land. I thought that Brook maybe he
Yeah, but
slightly changed his game
some of
plan.
those shots only
This
make him the
innings,
player he is. Hmm.
yeah. See, that's the thing. I mean, that's the point. Sometimes I think people miss about baseball. So baseball is not just about being unique, but it's the ability to understand that when you need to be unique and when you need to press on the accelerator. See, nothing. I mean, you cannot replace common sense with baseball, right? I mean, you need to have that game awareness, the situation awareness before you. I mean, before you start playing any shot or before you start with your approach. I mean, you need to first read the game. And I thought that Brooks' innings showed some maturity and real good maturity. I would say something that I think we will expect from him in the coming days because I don't see him. I mean, at least till the next 3 4 years, I don't see him getting dropped unless there is some serious injury with Harry Brook. And yeah, I mean, I really wish to see more such innings from him. And this innings in particular, I think he tweaked his game plan just that little bit. And I mean, he was reading I mean, hitting the balls based on their, I mean, what I should say, based on their qualities. I mean, based on I mean, he was targeting the bowlers as he should have, and yeah, I mean that brought out the results. And yeah, this is actually what he should be looking to do more often. And that is where I think the true, I mean, results of baseball can come when players take baseball responsibly. I mean, as they say that you cannot just rely on one approach. I mean, without looking at the pros and cons of it. So, I mean, considering you use that approach responsibly, assessing the match properly, and that's when you actually get the best results out of that. Yeah.
And mind you, he became the fastest batter to reach 3,000 runs in 3,000 test runs in terms of balls yesterday. So he took just 3 4 6 8 balls to reach 3,000 runs. So I mean, well close to a run a ball. The second fastest
Mm.
took 150 more balls. He was the great Adam Gilchrist.
My goodness. And Adam Gilchrist, mind you, he used to come, I think he was at, I think sixth or
Yeah,
seven,
he
if
was
I'm
batting
not
at
wrong.
six
He
or
used to
seven.
come late. Yeah, and we all know that when he used to come, he didn't just like wasting balls and he would just go after any poor delivery that he faced. And again, of course, Adam Gilchrist, a great batter. I mean, he brought that concept of that the wicket keepers can also bat. And that has since then trickled into the history of cricket since then. And that's the reason that the role of wicketkeeper was, I mean, he played a big part in that. That the role of wicketkeepers was extended to something more than just, I mean, keeping the wickets to, I mean, batters scoring runs
Yeah,
and giving that
he was the
extra
one
stability
who
to the
probably
batting order.
broke the
Yeah,
myth that wicket keepers don't need to bat. It was kind of a wicket keepers are a unique
yeah,
species. He was the one who showed that yeah, they also need to bat. They also need to put in the hard years with the bat. And I mean, Harry Brook. I mean, it's his chutzpah who which defines him the most. I mean, 16 for 4, England already 3-0 down, looking for 4-0. The ball swinging around like just like anything on that pitch, and steaming in his Mitchell Stark, the best bowler of the series, bowling at 140 plus. England 16 for 4,
yeah.
and people will say just respect him, leave this over. You go after Nasser, you go after someone. Harry Brook says no, I'm going. He makes room, steps out, smashes him over extra cover for a massive six at MCG. How many people will have this clarity of thought?
No, I honestly don't think many will have this. And even, I mean, if I talk about Rishabh Pant for that matter, the shot that he hit against Jimmy Anderson, I mean, a lot was
Yeah,
talked about
I
it.
mean sometimes these
Normally,
guys. Yeah,
no one would have that audacity to hit someone like James Anderson like
yeah, and
that
that was
way.
an
Yeah,
important game for India. He was batting well. He was and he was in the 90s, close to 100. People will say Jimmy Anderson has just taken the new
yeah,
ball. Respect him, leave him, milk him around for singles, and he says, "No, let me try something cheeky. Let me try the reverse sweep against Jimmy Anderson." And even Jimmy Anderson was like, "Arey, who is this kid? I mean, I have been playing cricket for 20 years, and who is this
yeah.
kid reverse sweeping me against the new ball?"
Absolutely. And he gave a priceless reaction after he hit that shot. I mean, even Jimmy was surprised. I mean, what has just happened? So, yeah, I
Yeah, so
mean,
I mean,
players like Harry Brook, Rishabh Pant, they always carry this sort of uncertainty with them. You
yeah,
just
this
never know what's
swagger. I
going
mean,
on in
it's
their heads.
absolute swagger. I mean,
Yeah.
on that day, you just love watching them play. I mean, nothing just. I mean, they just stay unfazed, irrespective of whatever is the situation. I know Harry Brook has his issues against the spinners and all, and come to the subcontinental tours, he might have those challenges. That's where he needs to improve himself also by a great extent. But I mean, against pacers, this guy has insane range. You remember the New Zealand ODI, I think a couple of months back, where he came in when England had lost three quick wickets, I think, and three or two quick wickets. And at one point, there were some 20, 30 for five, I think, and he smashed 135 at some 120 odd strike rate. Everyone was struggling on that pitch against the new ball, and he kept on smashing sixes to Henry, to whoever was bowling, Will O'Rourke or whoever. Zach Folks was bowling
Yeah.
well. He was smashing sixes for fun.
True, true.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's
to be
what
honest,
you expect from
this
someone
kid has
like Harry
special
Brook.
talent,
You
I
mean
feel.
you just can't, I mean, say that, okay, the coach just can't say to Harry Brook that, listen, you need to play this way. Because, I mean, at one point, maybe he will say yes, but the moment he steps on the pitch, he will just go with his own
See, and
style. And that's what makes these
I
players
really
unique.
don't want also the coach to say you play like a Chiteshwar Pujara, play like a Rahul Dravid, you play like an
Yep.
Alistair Cook. Harry Brook is no Alistair Cook. He is not someone who will bat for a day, play 600 odd balls, and I mean
Hmm.
score just 200 odd runs. He's not someone like that. Yeah, on his day, I mean these things will seem stupidity. The same happened with Rishabh Pant when Gavaskar shouted on air last year, stupid, stupid, stupid. But it was the
Yeah.
same guy who smashed a 60 odd at 200 strike rate on that absolute green mamba at Sydney just a match later. So you need to give these guys freedom. Yeah, I know that match experience comes, that game awareness comes with match experience, but at times you need to leave these guys and let them play the way they do. Yeah, they will lose you 3 4 games, but they will win you games which no one else in the world can. To be very honest.
Yeah, that's really a good point you're making. And
Yeah,
yeah,
so I
talking about
think
Rishabh Pant, you mentioned. So even he, I mean, we all know what he did in that series when England, when India finally broke that Australia's record at the Gabba and finally breached their fortress. I mean, he had a big role in that series, to be honest. So yeah, with players like these, as you mentioned, that you will eventually they will help you come out of situations that perhaps even the best of the players won't be able to. So yeah, that's how it is with these kind of players, and hopefully, I mean, we get to see more such players. I mean, not just someone like Brook and Pant. We want more such cricketers, but yeah, again, everything with a bit of responsibility, as they say. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, definitely, it's difficult to sustain this way. Yeah, I know. Even Travis
Hmm.
said to some extent he nullifies conditions, nullifies situations, bowlers, and can play this out of the box knocks. But yeah, these players are fun to watch.
Abhishek
But
Sharma, we
well,
have seen in recent times with India.
yeah, but I mean, doing the same in Test cricket requires a bit more, I mean,
Absolutely.
skill and all, because against the red ball and against in difficult conditions, doing that requires that extra bit of confidence. So I think Brook, Head, Pant, these guys tick the box in that criteria. Well, I think it's been a pretty good discussion, and
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
definitely, I mean, 2025
Let
is
us check
ending.
if there are any more comments before
No,
we
at this point, there's no more
finally wrap
comments.
up.
Well,
No.
2025 is ending, and it
Okay.
has ended with yet another surprise. So England breaking their jinx. Joe Root has broken his jinx of no century in Australia, and I think are we getting any more surprises in
Hmm.
2025? It's just 5 days left. Not sure though. Hmm.
How many matches are there? Because 2025 is the year of the unexpected, as I always say, and the year of
Yeah, it's
underdogs.
yeah. I mean,
So, I mean,
there's
anything
been
can
quite some
happen.
unexpected happenings in football also, but
Yeah.
if I just consider cricket only, I mean RCB breaking their jinx, Hobart Hurricanes winning their first BBL title, Joe Root getting his first 100 in Australia. Rohit Sharma becoming
South
the
Africa with
number.
their WTC win.
Yeah, South Africa winning an IC tournament after so
Yep.
long. England winning a game, winning an Ashes Test in Australia. Then Rohit Sharma becoming the number one batter in any format. I mean, I see number one ranking for the first time. So there's, I mean, so much. So
India women winning their
yeah, yeah,
ODI World
yeah,
Cup.
yeah. How did I?
Yeah,
By the way, I think we will try to make one video on a 2025 summary.
yeah, I
Uh,
think that would be an interesting video.
yeah, we made one in
Yeah,
2024 also, so that will be fun to make. Just having a look at
because
the year we left
2025
behind.
we have had multiple instances where something unexpected has happened, and that is
Well,
something
let me
every
add,
cricket fan watches the game
Jharkhand,
for. Yeah,
Jharkhand won the SMAT for the first time.
smart. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, there's been
Lots of
so
things.
many. There's been so many things, and this is some. This has been some year, particularly for sports fans across the globe, and there's just
Yeah,
5 more days left. Not a lot of matches left. Yeah, there's some league cricket going on, SA20, ILT20, and all these things, BBL. But let's see what else happens. And yeah, it's been a good life. Thanks to Ritik. Thanks to all those who joined Deptanu
yeah.
Bloodline Cricket 2 years back.
Thank you guys for making this live so engaging. Yeah,
Whoever joined. Thanks. Cheers. And so we will meet again in some time before the year ends to
yeah,
have a look back. And till then, just cheers and stay tuned. Also, watch out for the final test at Sydney, the New Year's test. And let's hope England goes out and
yeah.
fights there for one last time. Let's make it 3-2. Well, cheers. Good night.
Thank you guys. Goodbye.